Dr. Grandhi, welcome. Thank you very much for joining me this evening. As president of the SSO, I have the opportunity to talk with the committee chairs and leaders across the SSO to learn about what they're doing for the society, but also to allow them to share with our members what's going on. So thank you very much for joining me this evening.
Thank you for the opportunity, Dr. Tanabe, and I just want to thank the SSO as well. We're really excited to share what we're doing.
All right. Well, so WICS continues to have a strong presence at the annual meeting every year. And maybe you can tell us about some of the highlights that are going on and key efforts around programming.
Yes, so WICS started about 3 years ago with Sarah McLaughlin as the chair and Margot Shoup as the vice chair. I was had the opportunity about 2 years ago to take over as vice chair, and a year ago to take over as the chair, and we've just seen it flourish. And so, some of the key programming over the last year is at the American College of Surgeons, we had a Her Surge Story session where it was highly attended and we hit capacity actually, which was wonderful. This year at the SSO, we've had several Women in Cancer Surgery Committee sponsored events, which are open to all members of the SSO. So we held a pre-course meeting that was focused on optimizing both your personal and professional life with practical tools for efficiency and productivity. So who doesn't need to hear about being more efficient or more productive? But we had 3 incredible panelists, Dr. Monica Morrow, Dr. Monica Dua, and Dr. John Stewart, who addressed the various topics that we really felt that members of the SSO would benefit from. It was a free session sponsored by not only the Women in Cancer Surgery, but obviously the SSO, and very well attended. We also held a complimentary WICS lunch, which featured Marissa Shandell, who's a recognized expert in future work and employee engagement. And she spoke about failing forward and how setbacks shape success. As I once had a mentor mention to me, life is not a series, success is not a series of successes. It comes from a series of failures that ultimately lead to success. And so that was a really important topic that I believe we were able to have someone that was an expert in the field speak about. And the final event was actually a WICS Step Challenge held during SSO, where there were teams that were formed, there were prizes to be won, and who does not like competition that is a surgeon? So, that was a really fun event. And so we're also doing some micro learnings this year to focus on small snippets of topics such as billing in various aspects of surgical oncology and wellness topics, as well as mentorship. And so please keep an ear out for those.
That sounds terrific. That sounds very exciting. In talking about learning through failures, I know that whatever successes I've had, it is because I have had a lot of failures. That is for sure.
And I think that's the key is as you go through medicine, you realize it's not about just a straight linear curve. It's these ups and downs that lead you to where you're going. And I think it's important that people going into surgical oncology, people who are in surgical oncology, we recognize that this is a typical path.
These activities that you mentioned are really terrific. Maybe you can talk about the goals and how you feel this fits together with the goals of the SSO.
So the WICS committee recognizes that many of the topics that we discuss as women in cancer surgery affect not only women, but also men. So while in the past, all events have been hosted by the WICS committee and have been open to all members, both men and women, this year, a very intentional effort was set forth to advertise it as such. And the idea is that by engaging all members of SSO, we're really engaging the entire society. And in order to make forward progress as women in cancer surgery, we all need to be making forward progress together.
Oh, that's great. That is very well put. Thank you very much. Maybe you can describe for our members some of the WICS initiatives that support mentorship, professional development, and community for women in surgical oncology.
So the events that I already spoke about obviously do support all of these initiatives, but then there's also these micro learnings, podcasts, and webinars we've hosted in the past. But in my opinion, I think that these initiatives are not only geared towards addressing these important topics, but really towards networking. By hosting these events and bringing together members of the SSO, it's an opportunity for us to meet one another, learn from one another, and support one another. And it's another way of forming relationships that then naturally lead to organic forms of mentorship, professional development, and community amongst not only women in surgical oncology, but also women with other members of the society. And so I personally have gained a lot from being a member of SSO and have gained various mentorship relationships from my experience through the SSO.
So that's terrific. We've launched just recently the peer network groups or PNGs. And so, definitely having a WICS PNG, I'm sure will gain a lot of traction in our membership.
I agree.
So, what feedback have you had from members so far around the WICS programming and the initiatives?
So that's a great question. Again, these initial efforts started about 3 years ago, and we've just seen the excitement and the support from the members of the SSO grow and grow. And what's really fun is seeing, again, a very diverse group of attendees for these events. So not only trainees, not only men and women, but all levels: medical students, residents, senior surgeons, junior surgeons, mid-career surgeons. And by bringing together that conglomeration of diversity, it's been really great because, again, it leads to the effort of everyone learning and growing from one another. One thing that we have noticed is that each of these events have had an increased number of participants per year over year. And so we're having to expand the rooms in which we're hosting these events because there is just such an interest in these events. And so, we're really excited about what's to come, but we definitely want feedback from those members of the SSO on what we can do better.
Yeah, there's been tremendous traction around WICS, and I think that it continues to be a lot of enthusiasm and excitement, so much so that, we're talking about WICS as as a sub-brand of SSO. I think if we brand WICS, it'll take off even further. So that's terrific. How could
Yes.
members stay involved with WICS throughout the year and, beyond the annual meeting?
So we would love to hear from members of the SSO regarding any ideas or topics that are important to you that we can bring through the WICS programming. We're looking for new ideas. We're looking for ways to mix it up. So we would love to hear your thoughts. Please don't hesitate to reach out to any of the members of the SSO, but particularly me. I'd love to hear your thoughts. And we're really trying to formulate a way to get more people involved on not only just at the meeting, but also on a day-to-day basis where we can create some specific goals for the WICS community where other members that are not just a part of the committee can stay actively engaged throughout the year.
Yeah, that's terrific. So it sounds like you're inviting people to reach out to you directly, to email you or text you, and similarly, people should feel free to reach out to me or any of the officers of the SSO or any board member or any of the SSO staff. I mean, definitely, you and I, we are all here, for the members. We're doing this for the members and getting feedback about the directions to go. We definitely want that.
Yeah, we want to make sure that we are supporting the members as best as possible, and that comes with just the sharing of ideas. And so the more the merrier. We look forward to hearing from everyone.
All right. Outstanding. Listen, thank you very much for joining me this evening. And thank you very much for your great work for the SSO.
Thanks, Dr. Tanabe, and thank you to the SSO. I really appreciate the opportunity.